or they're tribal warlords. The goal is simple: reduce political resistance to emotional chaos. That way it's easier to bomb it, sanction it, or dismiss it. But Traore doesn't play that game. He prays, but doesn't preach. He governs for all, not for a set. He doesn't ask for loyalty based on faith. He earns it through results. And that is deeply unsettling to those who rely on division as a weapon. Because if he were playing the religious card, the West would have its script ready. They'd call him an insurgent, paint him as the next threat to stability, and send troops to contain him. But they can't because there's no sermon, no fanatical rhetoric, no appeal to divine destiny, just leadership. This is dangerous for the old system because it robs them of their favorite excuse. We're fighting insurgency. In truth, they're not fighting insurgency. They're fighting for independence. But it's hard to say that out loud. It's easier to hide behind the language of counterinsurgency until someone like Traore ruins the cover. He's fighting an actual insurgency in the Sahel without foreign military command. He's winning trust without religious slogans. He's uniting a nation without leaning on identity politics. He's proving that competence, not chaos, is the future of Africa. Dismissing him as just another angry figure waving a flag is no longer possible. He's not promising paradise. He's building a state. And when someone this calm, this rational, this rooted starts shaking the empire panics. But no matter what they do,
is the front line of global struggle for liberation. But even as what I was doing, echoing the Sahel in Niger, in Mali, across Africa, across the Umma, across the global south, and across the world. Every oppressed people around the world has looked to Burkina Faso and to Ibrahim Traore as saying liberation looks like it's actually possible. But obviously, the global order trembles at the prospect that anyone is going to follow his example. They're afraid of his courage and his clarity and his defiance in the face of Western power and Western threats. And they should be afraid of that. They should tremble because they know the jig is up. When you have when they get scared, they get dangerous. And Ibrahim Traore is under severe threat. There's already been something like 20 attempts on his life since coming to power. They just stopped a coup from happening last week, organized by the Americans and by the French, by the French embassy. Because a free Africa is just something that old birth can't take. You know, they've been keeping Africa in the past for so long, they're rebirth, that even though that Africa would have lived from them, then they're going to be the ones who consign the history. The chains that have been holding Africa down all this time are also the only things that have been arrested up. So now that I said that they're going to arrest him, you know, they're really trying to take him out more than once, like I said.
they can't get Traore back. Do you think they can still stop Traore? Or has the game already changed? Let us know in the comments section. Has Africa finally turned the page? Do you want to watch more?
Yep, Africa finally turned the page. Now, we in the United States to turn the fucking page. Because most of the people normally look for us for guidance. But shit, we don't even know where the fuck we at or where the fuck we going. So we allowing some fucking assholes to fucking lead us down the motherfucking dark ass alleyway with a bunch of robbers hanging down there. Because we $36 trillion in fucking debt. And I haven't heard of no fucking body got fucking fired for that shit yet. My question is, are we really this fucking stupid?
Captain On the grand stage of global power, one figure walks with quiet strength and fierce purpose. As Captain Ibrahim Traoré stands shoulder to shoulder with world leaders,
That's his name.
he carries more than the pride of a nation. He carries the heartbeat of a continent. This is not a symbol of allegiance. It is a declaration of presence. Africa is no longer knocking at the door. Africa is stepping through it. Bold, sovereign, unstoppable. To every young African watcher, this is your call. Your face belongs in the halls of power. Your voice belongs in the decisions that shape tomorrow. From the resilient soil of Burkina Faso to the global arena in Moscow, the message is clear. This is the era of African resurgence. This is how we make Africa great. In May 2025, a moment of symbolic and strategic significance took place. While much of the world looked to the east for signs of shifting alliances, a VIP Russian aircraft, the Il-96-300, took off, not for Beijing or Berlin, but for Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso. Its mission, to pick up Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the young and defiant leader of Burkina Faso, and bring him to Moscow as a special guest of President Vladimir Putin. This moment, seemingly small in the chaos of global headlines, carried immense weight for Africa. It represented the repositioning of a continent that has long been a passive player in global politics.
Yes, it is. Yes. It's not in the crack.
It's in the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And that is all you have? You don't have any open wounds?
This guy will never keep breaking on me. Because I know it's because I had this problem when right before I got kicked out of my apartment and went homeless, and that's when things got real bad. But I had the problem because the bed that I'm in right now was the same bed that I had back then before they gave me an air mattress. And when I was kicked out of my apartment, they bust my air mattress. You see, they bust my air mattress and they broke my easy stand machine. It's hard for the things that I've been through, but I'm just saying. And ever since I have been having that air mattress, that's how I keep on, this thing keep on breaking. Because this mattress that I'm on, after a while, it gets an imprint, and then my behind can't breathe. Even though I'm rotating, I'm not rotating because the groove in the bed is a groove now. It's like, even if I'm rotating, I'm still in that groove, so I'm not really rotating. That's why it won't keep opening.
I did assign you to a doctor that only sees the food, so I just forgot to ask where was you located. So let me.
It's a good thing you say something about the feet. Now I got some problems with my feet from I had a cable fall on my big toe, and they wanted to cut it off because they said that got infected to the bone. And I just want people to look at my feet and see how well I fix my feet myself, not listening to the doctors because they want to take my toe off. And I'm just saying, man, it's almost like I'm just going through a lot, and it's almost like I'm not getting. I appreciate you calling and everything, but it's not. It's like I'm not getting the help that I should be getting from the people that's supposed to be really helping me, man. But I appreciate you.
Yeah, well, so, you're going to open one and stay in the fire.
Right there where your butt bone at.
I'm sorry, sir?
Right where your butt bone at. Where the bone starts, right there at your body, at your rectum.
Okay, right where the butt bone.
Yeah. Because like I say, anybody that know about pressure sores, they're gonna know exactly what I'm talking
Okay, so on the 15th, because there's only two, but actually there is only two providers that accept your insurance. One only sees a foot,
about.
and then only the foot, nothing else. So one can see your where your wound is. So that one is she has on the 15th, but in the morning. That is the one that I offered you for 8 o'clock.
Well, like I say, all I gotta do is get the, to make sure the time is right, and if I can get up 2 3 hours early so I can get that bus and that train, because
Yeah.
when I get the lift service, they don't never come on time, and I end up missing the important. Um, 'Cause see, that's how I got messed up with being at Tier, trying to walk again a long time ago. It was I wasn't getting to the appointments when I was having doctors come from other countries to see me and stuff because of all the unique things that I was doing, being a paraplegic, man. And I'm like, I'm hurting right now because it's like I stopped all the progress that I was doing when they ended up putting me on that hydrocodone bull crap. But anyway, yeah.
So it's either it's only for the first time that's going to be at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Then the next time we can schedule you later, like around 10 for Thursday, or in the Monday we can schedule you in the afternoon.
Okay.
So it's only what I was looking for is where I can fit you in. So the only available I have is on the 15th, which is at 8 o'clock, and I can also schedule you the 16th. Let's see, that is the Friday, if you can wait, and I can schedule you at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
Do you want it at on the 16th?
Yeah.
1
We do it.
o'clock?
Yeah, we do it like
Next
that.
Friday.
We do it like that. Because like I said again, I'm trying to make it as easy for you guys as easy as it be for me too. You see.
Right. Okay, so then we will see you on the 16th, and that is Friday at 1 o'clock.
See you then, man. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Back to who we were talking about. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start that all over from what I just saw, that fire right there. So I'm gonna go back to that fire that I just saw it right there. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take from there and do 30 minutes and then do another 30 minutes. I'm just letting you know I'm getting into this shit deep. We about to get with it. Let's go.
In May 2025, a moment of symbolic and strategic significance took place. While much of the world looked to the east for signs of shifting alliances, a VIP Russian aircraft, the Il-96-300, took off, not for Beijing or Berlin, but for Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso. Its mission: to pick up Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the young and defiant leader of Burkina Faso, and bring him to Moscow as a special guest of President Vladimir Putin. This moment, seemingly small in the chaos of global headlines, carried immense weight for Africa. It represented the repositioning of a continent that has long been a passive player in global politics, now stepping into a role of agency, strategy, and strength. Captain Traoré, representing not just Burkina Faso, but the broader AES bloc, the alliance of Sahel states, is being recognized not for compliance, but for courage. His presence at Victory Day isn't a show of submission. It's a declaration. Africa is no longer on the sidelines. The AES, consisting of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, was formed as a response to shared challenges: terrorism, economic instability, and Western interference. What began as military-led transitions evolved into a broader regional vision for sovereignty, security, and self-determination. Each of these nations has faced immense pressure from international institutions and foreign governments, particularly France and the EU. In response, the AES has rejected foreign military presence and aid conditionalities, instead turning inward and eastward for strength. Together, these states envision a new security and economic alliance that works for Africans, by Africans. Traoré's trip to Moscow is not just symbolic, it's strategic. It shows that the AES bloc is seeking allies who respect their sovereignty and who see Africa as a partner, not a project. Russia's engagement with Africa has grown significantly in the last decade, particularly with nations seeking alternatives to Western hegemony. From arms deals and infrastructure to energy and diplomacy, Moscow has presented itself as a power willing to engage Africa without colonial baggage. While Western media often paints these partnerships as manipulative, many African leaders and thinkers see it differently. Russia offers leverage, a chance to play multiple powers off each other for Africa's benefit. For Traoré and the AES, Russia offers support in defense, infrastructure, and political backing at the international level. More importantly, it reflects a pivot away from unilateral dependence toward a multipolar foreign policy that empowers African voices. Victory Day in Russia commemorates the Soviet victory over Nazi Germany, but in recent years, it has become a geopolitical stage. World leaders who attend signal not only respect, but alignment. This year, the presence of President Xi Jinping of China, President Lula of Brazil, and leaders from Belarus, Serbia, and Slovakia shows that Moscow is still building coalitions, despite Western sanctions. For Traoré, attending Victory Day is not just about honoring Russia's history. It's about showing the world that Africa chooses its own friends, that Africa can honor its heroes while building new partnerships on its own terms. Predictably, Western media has responded with caution, concern, and criticism. Some have accused Traoré of aligning with dictatorships or turning away from democracy, but these critiques often ignore the lived realities of Sahelian nations and the hypocrisy of Western double standards. The truth is more complex. Many African nations are tired of being lectured by those who historically exploited them. They seek partners who offer respect, not rhetoric. Traoré's Moscow visit may unsettle the old guard, but for many Africans, it signals progress. It says, we're not waiting for permission. Traoré is not alone. Leaders like Assimi Goïta, Mali, Abdourahmane Tiani, and Niger are part of a wave of young, assertive, and self-reliant African presidents. Though controversial in international circles, they enjoy massive domestic security. What unites them is not ideology, but purpose: to secure their countries, control their resources, and pursue development without foreign interference. This is the essence of Pan-Africanism in the 21st century. Not just political unity, but collective strength built through shared values, mutual support, and visionary leadership. Of course, there are risks. Attending such high-profile events amid security threats, including drone attacks on Moscow, is dangerous. Aligning too closely with any superpower carries its own burdens, and building African unity across diverse political systems, cultures, and economies is no easy feat. But African leaders like Traoré seem willing to take these risks, not for personal gain, but to reshape their country's futures. And history shows, great change always comes with resistance. For Africa to truly rise, it must be willing to walk difficult roads, and it must walk them together. As Traoré walks alongside world leaders on Victory Day, his presence sends a powerful message. Africa is here, not as a follower, but as a force. It is a signal to the youth of Africa that their future can be shaped by those who look like them, speak their languages, and share their hopes. It is a signal to the world that Africa is not a passive continent. It is the world's next center of gravity. From Burkina Faso to Moscow, from past struggles to future triumphs, this is the story of African resurgence. This is how we make Africa great. In Moscow, Captain Traoré will hold one-on-one talks with President Vladimir Putin, a meeting confirmed by Kremlin advisor Yuri Buchko. But more than just a photo op, this face-to-face with Putin, and the presence of Xi Jinping of China and Lula da Silva of Brazil, signals a tectonic shift. This is the BRICS world. And Africa is not just knocking on the door, it's walking through it. The Western narrative has long viewed African military leaders as rogue, unstable, or illegitimate. But as Captain Traoré stands beside Xi, Putin, and Lula, the message to the global north is unmistakable. The old model is crumbling. For decades, the West has relied on puppet regimes and extracted relationships. But those days are numbered. Africa's new leaders, sovereign and self-determined, are reshaping the rules. There remains, however, a class of African presidents who still bow to foreign masters, exchanging sovereignty for stability and natural wealth for foreign approval. These leaders are not just out of touch, they are out of time. As nations like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger pivot eastward, a continental realignment is underway. The people demand dignity, not dependency. This is not just about one leader or one nation, it is about a continent stepping into a multipolar future. A future where Africa is not a battleground for superpowers, but a superpower in its own right. The presence of Captain Traoré in Moscow is symbolic. It says, we will partner, but on our terms.
Like I said, do you realize who's running the booth? You realize the booth is already ready within you, just waiting on you to step back in? You don't realize. It's only you believe the lie to be the liar, understand the lie to be the liar, have faith in the lie to be the liar, and then hope that the lies will tell some type of truth. You don't stay yourself on stupid as a willing participant in your own slavery because you're not thinking for yourself. You just going along with the other unbelieving politics. And I can say this shit because I can be stupid too. Until I realized why. Until I realized who was lying to who. But I can't make you realize the truth that's already in you. All I can do is get low down where you at with your vibration being just that fucking low. I gotta get down there with your ass. And then remind you how to fucking think. That's some bullshit right there. I shouldn't have to remind you how to fucking think. Brown men and women, women and men, naturally y'all should know how to think. My question is, how in the fuck do we allow someone to teach us out of our mind? To teach us not to think, to just believe, not to think, just to understand, not to think, just to have faith, not to think, just to hope. Do you not know all those words? A word made up to keep you from not knowing you, from not knowing the truth that's in you, the truth that you're born with, your common sense. Because the make-believe nonsense is what stops you from using common sense. The common sense that you're born with. This shit is not hard. It's rather really simple. It's just some assholes made it hard for you when they taught you some bullshit. You just gotta let go of the bullshit. You gotta let go of the bullshit. You got to.
Africa watching this moment. Know this. The world is watching you back. Your leaders are beginning to look like you, speak like you, dream like you. This is not the end of Africa's story.
Hey, look, and you got a white man laying up there and telling this story. Putting this documentary together. I'm like, it's crazy.
It is history. It is resistance. It is vision. As the sun rises on May 9th, it rises not only over Moscow, but over a new African century. The
We're always like having your hands.
The question is, how soon? Africa is changing. A quiet storm is turning into a bold revolution, not with weapons, but with ideas, identity, and leadership. From Burkina Faso to Moscow, a new generation is rising, not asking for permission, but claiming its rightful place on the world stage. Since taking power, Captain Traoré has captured the imagination of millions across Africa. Young, disciplined, and principled, he speaks not in the language of submission, but in the voice of a continent that's tired of exploitation. He has challenged Western influence, rejected foreign military bases, and emphasized self-reliance, economically, militarily, and culturally. And by aligning with global powers like Russia, Traoré is rebalancing the scales, refusing to be a pawn in someone else's game. His actions speak louder than his words. Africa must define its own path, free from fear and full of pride. To understand Traoré's mission, we must look back to Thomas Sankara, the iconic revolutionary leader of Burkina Faso in the 1980s. Sankara fought for dignity, justice, and self-determination, and he paid the ultimate price. Today, Traoré evokes that same spirit. Many call him Sankara Reborn, not because he imitates, but because he continues a legacy interrupted. He understands that Burkina Faso's fight is not just national, it's continental. It's about showing all Africans that true independence is possible. Across Africa, young people are no longer waiting. They are organizing, resisting, and building. In Burkina Faso, youth movements have backed Traoré with unmatched energy. But it's not just about one man.
Can't fuck
It's
with
about
them
vision.
children.
A vision of an Africa that owns
My
its
bad,
land,
can't fuck with them
its
young
labor,
folk.
its destiny.
You
An
know what I'm
Africa
saying?
that educates its people,
I always
uplifts its
saying,
women,
young people ain't
honors its
saying.
culture, and builds its own future. These youth are the spark that will ignite continent-wide transformation.
Yep.
They are not asking for handouts.
Nope.
They are demanding respect.
Yep.
Russia's relationship with Africa is complex, but today, it is being rewritten. Countries like Burkina Faso are forming new partnerships based on mutual respect and shared history. Russia supported African liberation in the Cold War era, and now, once again, it opens its arms. But this is not about trading one empire for another. Traoré and others are not looking for masters. They are building alliances that serve African interests. Africa is learning to negotiate from a position of strength, not desperation. And that, alone, is revolutionary. Often overlooked, Burkina Faso is now leading by example. Despite poverty, threats, and foreign pressure, it stands firm. It has expelled foreign military bases, launched its own defense efforts, and inspired a wave of Pan-African unity. What Traoré represents is not perfection, but courage. And that courage has made Burkina Faso the spiritual capital of Africa's awakening. Captain Ibrahim Traoré's visit to Russia is not just about international politics. It's a message to Africans everywhere. The world is watching, and we are finally writing our own story. From the spirit of Sankara to the energy of the youth, from Ouagadougou to Moscow, Africa is rising, and the world better be ready.
One, this is meditation, this is education, and this is respect to our great leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Welcome and greetings to you, the friends from Africans here in the continent, and you know in the diaspora. As I speak to you now, the brave leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, has arrived safely in Moscow, where he enjoyed.
I ain't that. I'm gonna hit him. Ain't right there.